Hello and welcome to Idea TV Midday News. I am Chinatu Oji. Let's begin with the headlines. First Lady calls for united action to protect children from sexual abuse. Lagos makes history as state bond issue draws massive investor response. South African man faces deportation from Australia. Ghana removes value-added tax on mineral processing to boost investments. Away from Africa, new international student enrollment in the U.S. falls sharply. In health, Lagos launches statewide free HIV testing ahead of World AIDS Day. In business, Nigeria's foreign exchange markets boost investor confidence. In sports, Nigeria dominates Africa's first-run archery tournament. Now the news in full. Nigeria's First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu is urging citizens to strengthen efforts to protect children from sexual exploitation and abuse. She delivered the message in Abuja during the national commemoration of the World Day for the Prevention of and Healing from Child Sexual Exploitation and Sexual Abuse 2025, which focuses this year on improving child protection through evidence-based policies. The First Lady emphasized that safeguarding children must be a shared responsibility among families, communities, government agencies, and civil society. She stressed that every child deserves to grow without fear or harm, noting that meaningful protection requires more than public declarations. According to her, effective action must be informed by accurate data, research, and well-designed policies to prevent abuse, support survivors, and ensure safer environments for young people. General observance on the 18th of November serves as a global call to prevent child sexual abuse, prosecute offenders, and assist survivors on their path to healing. Established in 2015 and formally recognized by the United Nations in 2022, the day aims to raise awareness, promote understanding, and reduce stigma surrounding child sexual exploitation. This year's commemoration reinforces the nationwide call for sustained collaboration to protect the rights and well-being of all children. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has announced a major milestone in its financial markets activities with the successful completion of the book build for its latest bond issuance. According to the Commissioner for Finance, Yomi Oluyomi, the state offered a 200 billion naira conventional bond alongside a 14.8 billion naira green bond, both of which drew overwhelming interest from investors. The conventional bond, now the largest ever issued by a non-corporate subnational entity in Nigeria, received subscriptions of over 308 billion naira, while the green bond attracted 28.7 billion naira for exceeding the initial target. State officials say this strong investor confidence reflects the economic reforms undertaken at both the federal and state levels, as well as Lagos' long-term strategy to build a secure and functional megacity. They note that the government remains committed to prudent financial management and transparent fiscal practices, underscoring a broader ambition to position Lagos as a leading financial hub on the continent. Authorities also credited private sector partners for their sustained support toward the state's developmental agenda. Proceeds from the bond issuance will be channeled into key projects under the Themes Plus agenda, focusing on transportation, healthcare, education, and environmental sustainability. The government says these investments are intended to enhance the quality of life for residents and strengthen the state's economic resilience. Meanwhile, South African national living in Australia has been taken into immigration detention after his visa was cancelled for participating in a neo-Nazi rally outside the New South Wales Parliament. The man, identified as Matthew Guta, has been in the country since 2022 and was seen earlier this month among a group of around 60 black-clad demonstrators of an anti-Jewish protest organized by the National Socialist Network. His removal from Australia is now underway, with officials saying he has only limited options to challenge the decision. Australian authorities say the action was taken on character grounds, citing the country's firm stance against right-wing extremism and hate speech. Government officials noted that the rally featured extremist slogans and symbols, including chants associated with historical Nazi organizations. They stress that participation in such activities runs counter to the values of a multicultural Australia that has visitors, and visitors are expected to respect the country's laws and social standards. The demonstration has drawn widespread condemnation from political and community leaders who describe it as a disturbing display of racism and anti-Semitism. Advocacy groups say neo-Nazi activity poses a threat to social cohesion and have called for continued vigilance against hate-driven protests. The incident comes amid rising concerns over far-right extremism in Australia, where stricter measures against Nazi symbols and gestures have recently been introduced. And Ghana's government has announced that it will eliminate the value-added tax on mineral processing as part of a broader effort to improve the business environment and expand employment opportunities. The decision was revealed during the presentation of the national budget and economic goals for the year 2026, with officials explaining that the tax had discouraged meaningful investment in mineral exploration for nearly 2 decades. The policy shift continues to precious metal, which has generated more than 60% of the country's roughly $18 billion in export earnings this year. Authorities say the goal is to encourage more local processing of natural resources, aligning Ghana with a regional movement among African governments seeking to raise revenue by adding value to minerals before they are sold abroad. Looking ahead, Ghana's economic planners project average real gross domestic product growth of about 4.9% from 2026 through 2025 or 2029. They also aim to maintain inflation at its current rate of approximately 8% over the same period, signaling a push for stability as the government attempts to stimulate investment and job creation. A quick break now, the news continues when we return.
Where we spotlight the government agencies making strides in research, innovative impact of our governments and shaping a brighter future for Africa. Only on Idea TV.
Welcome back. This is still Idea TV Midday News. The rest of the stories. New research shows that enrollment of first-time international students at universities in the U.S. has dropped by 17% this autumn, marking one of the steepest declines in recent times. The study released yesterday by the Institute of International Education and based on data from more than 800 institutions links the downturn to visa delays, denials, and shifting immigration policies under the current administration. While the total international student population dipped by only 1%, the sharp fall in new arrivals has raised concerns about the outlook for the next few academic cycles. Universities report that stricter visa screening, paused appointment schedules earlier in the year, and heightened checks on applicants' social media accounts have contributed to the drop. Some institutions even say students also reported feeling uncertain or unwelcome in the United States, adding to the challenges created by limited travel access for a small portion of applicants. Although foreign students represent roughly 6% of total enrollments, they play an outsized role in the higher education economy, contributing an estimated $55 billion in 2024 through tuition and living expenses. Schools across the country are responding by increasing flexibility, offering more deferrals, which rose nearly 40%, and reaffirming their commitment to international recruitment. While the current 17% decline is lower than earlier predictions of up to 40%, university leaders warn that the trend could strain future enrollment pipelines. They say the sector's ability to recover will depend heavily on policy stability, streamlined visa processing in the United States, capacity to maintain its appeal as a welcoming destination for global students. Meanwhile, the Lagos State AIDS Control Agency has begun a free statewide human immunity virus testing campaign across all local governments and local council development areas. The exercise, which runs from the 18th of November to the 1st of December 2025, is a major activity marking this year's World AIDS Day and is aimed at expanding early diagnosis and improving access to care. The agency says the program is designed to close existing testing gaps and increase community awareness on prevention, treatment, and stigma reduction. Trained counselor testers, adequate test kits, condoms and educational materials have been deployed to ensure smooth operations at community testing points. Officials emphasize that early testing remains essential to the state's public health strategy, noting that the initiative supports ongoing efforts to reach underserved communities through partnerships with development groups and local organizations. Authorities are urging all residents to take advantage of the free and confidential screening services at designated centers in their areas. The state government says it is committed to expanding testing and counseling facilities and intensifying public awareness campaigns to curb new infections. The agency coordinating the rollout continues to lead Lagos State's response to the human immunodeficiency virus, working with government ministries, civil society groups, and community structures to strengthen prevention and improve the quality of life for those affected. And now in business, Nigeria's foreign exchange market is showing clear signs of recovery, with newly released data indicating that reforms by the Central Bank of Nigeria are reshaping investor sentiment. Figures from the FMDQ exchange review shows that inflows rose to $5.15 billion in October, up from $3.18 billion in September, marking a 62% month-on-month increase and the highest level in 5 months. The rise follows the CBN's efforts to clear a long-standing foreign exchange backlog, unify multiple rate windows, and strengthen transparency, steps that multilateral institutions say are necessary to restore credibility. This recovery comes alongside a broader uptick in capital importation, driven largely by portfolio investment rather than long-term commitments. The National Bureau of Statistics reports that total inflows in the first quarter of 2025 reached $5.64 billion, with more than 90% channeled into short-term financial instruments such as government securities and treasury bills. And now, moving on. Nigeria has delivered a commanding performance at the maiden run archery tournament held on African soil, asserting itself as a rising force in the fast-growing hybrid sports. The 2-day event staged at the Palais des Sports, the Trival in Abidjan on the 15th and 16th of November, drew competitors from across West Africa for a test of speed, endurance and precision. Representing the country were athletes from Zen Archery Club in Lagos, who emerged as standout performers by sweeping the top medals in both individual and team categories. In individual sprint events, Emmanuel Oyeleke surged ahead of the field with a powerful combination of fast-paced running and accurate shooting to secure the gold medal. His teammate Tola Adebayo Latif followed closely to claim the silver, while Ivory Coast Obo Cedric finished third for the host nation. Nigeria extended its dominance in the team relay sprint as Oyeleke and Adebayo Latif delivered a seamless and disciplined display to clinch another gold, outpacing their regional rivals with a flawless performance that highlighted their synergy and competitive strength. Organizers and participants say the success of the Abidjan tournament marks a significant milestone for run archery on the continent. The event, which is the first of its kind in Africa, signals new opportunities for the sport's development and positions Nigeria at the forefront of that growth. With its medal sweep, the country has demonstrated both depth and potential in a discipline that blends athleticism and accuracy. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV Midday News. Before we go, a recap of the headlines. First Lady calls for united action to protect children from sexual abuse. Lagos makes history as state bond issue draws massive investor response. South African man faces deportation from Australia. Ghana removes value-added tax on mineral processing to boost investment away from Africa. New international student enrollment in the U.S. falls sharply. In health, Lagos launches statewide free HIV testing ahead of World AIDS Day. In business, Nigeria's foreign exchange market boosts investor confidence. In sports, Nigeria dominates Africa's first-run archery tournament. Do not forget to follow us across the different social media platforms at Idea TV. I am Chinatu Oji. Thank you for your time.